Hi everyone, welcome to MC the Accountant Shares. For this particular day, I'm going to talk about inspirational things. So tips on studying accounting better, or we are going to talk about how do we maximize our limited time in studying challenging subjects or courses like accounting. So you can see here on the screen the books of Milan. It's because I am basing my discussions for today on his particular outputs or books. Okay, so here is a page from the books. So this is normally seen in the part that is prior to table of contents. So he simply has like three tips on using this or these books. So as he said, to get the most out of this book, I strongly suggest you do the following. First tip is to resolve the illustrations independently. Now that is really true. If we look at the book and then we study, we review, we look at the computations, it looks easy. It's going to be simple. My mind or our mind would be, our minds would be telling that it's simple, it's easy, which is really true. Now, as what I've said in other inspirational videos, that our mind really is very powerful. So when we tell our minds that we can do such things, normally and usually we will be able to do such. That's the law of attraction. And then however, have we observed or noticed sometimes that when we solve the problems ourselves, when we take examinations, have you noticed or have we noticed that it's going to be really challenging to the point that we will be saying, we will be telling ourselves that, oh, it seemed to be easy when sir discussed this, when ma'am discussed this, how come I cannot answer this anymore during examination? It's because we just read from the book. We did not practice applying the concepts by ourselves or to ourselves. And that's why there's a need for us to really resolve the illustrations independently. So without looking at the book, without looking at the suggested answers, we solve such either following the formulas on the book or we do our computations. It's up to us what to do. It's going to be okay anyway. So as being stated here, probably we're going to follow the suggested solutions on an independent way on a piece of paper separate from the book, not necessarily writing there in the book or on the book. It's okay though to put some notes there, but there's really an importance of doing such with ourselves. Hopefully you get the point. And then I would like to anchor my first discussion on this part here. This is a law that is called learning by doing. This is a concept introduced by John Dewey, an educational psychologist. So, in accordance to his theory, which is learning by doing, he said that, or this can be simply stated as what I hear, I forget, what I see, I remember, what I do, I understand. So, this simply means that as we go higher to the level, the more learning that we obtain. So if we just hear something, the normal tendency is that we try to forget it. We tend to forget it because there is no such connection with ourselves. We just let it go. But aside from hearing it audio, we also see it like on the screen, the more that there is retention on the brain. So not just hearing, but also seeing. And after that, if we do it with ourselves, we are going to solve independently the problems. Then the more that there will be retention and learning that can happen along the way. So thank you for the concept of John Dewey, which is an educational expert or psychologist. And this is like academe, this is education. So we can connect concepts from other fields or disciplines. Okay, so that's for the first one. The tip though for number one before going to number two is that we must try as much as possible remove and ignore or reject the tendencies and temptations of looking right away to the suggested solutions or answers. So we are going to cover it. I've noticed some learners like me also, I did such that I cover the solutions first and then I will try to solve it by myself and produce an answer. It doesn't matter whether the answer would be correct or wrong for now. For the meantime, at least you are able to really obtain the discipline, get the discipline of answering it, whatever it is, and we compare our works with the suggestion or suggested ones so that we will know what areas that we still need to develop. Okay? Okay, there's still a noise in the background. Hopefully you will just disregard. Then number two, okay, so much for one. To read and reread the chapter summary. So nothing beats repetition. It is being said that repetition is the mother of mastery. So the more that we read and read with understanding and comprehension analysis, of course, the more that we will be able to retain the concepts with our brain. Our brain tends to forget those things that we find obsolete, no longer meaningful or useful to us. We usually retain those things that are still useful to us. That's called in education, or that is called the principle of selective abandonment. Now, guys, just so you know, why am I able to talk about these concepts? By the way, I also have the units in education. So that's why I know a lot of educational concepts. And besides, I love education. All right. So moving on, principle of selective abandonment. So we forget those things that we find no longer useful, no longer meaningful to us. So what can we do? We connect whatever things that we have learned from the past to things that are very important to the present. So there is recognition of prior learning. And as we go along the way, we connect, and connect so that we'll not be able to really forget them. We are going to make some acronyms or mnemonics, especially for auditing theory items. Whenever we deal with accounting concepts, especially in audit, there would be some parts there that we have to memorize things. So that's why there is a need for us sometimes to make mnemonics, unless we really have good memories. But guys, because of so many things to memorize in accounting or take note, like rules, principles, it's better that we have some memory aids that can help us along the way and in the long run. Because long-term memory is invaluable in passing the board exams and in the profession. The working memory short term must be carried forward to become long term. So that's what I said a while ago, that we have to connect it with whatever learnings that we have in the current situation to connect prior to current and moving on along the way until such time it becomes a habit that we can not remove from our system. It's like within our system. That's how important long-term memory is, to be able to survive in the program, in studies, in the CPA board examination, and in the profession. So going back, it is also advisable to reread the chapter summaries from time and time again. So the point is that our memory is limited, no matter how intelligent we are or the geniuses we are. Even the geniuses like Albert Einstein made some notes on the board and on his notes. What's the point? Because he is aware that memory is limited. That's why there is a need to jot down notes. And why is it there's a need for us to really reread the chapter summaries? It's because we can no longer promise ourselves to read the chapter again. lengthy chapters. If we reach the higher levels, there are so many topics, lessons, subjects. We cannot promise ourselves again and again to read the long versions. Normally, we look at the summaries to be able to recall. And then it has been found out in researches, this is the point here on the last part of the second paragraph, that when we forget something, an information, or a thing, we need to spend the same amount of efforts, the same amount of time, probably not the same time as before because that's review, but then effort wise or time we will still be consuming to learn it again. So that's how challenging it is. So the point is that whatever we have learned in the past, which are very important or is important, it should be connected to the latter part. I hope we get the point. That's why there's a need for us to read and reread the chapter summaries. Then number three is that we have to smile, we have to enjoy learning because accounting is fun. I would not say that it is difficult. I would say it is challenging, and with positivity and mindset, with actions, you'll be able to achieve the program to be successful, especially the CPA board examination and in the profession. And we have to love what we are doing. We're not forced. We are not coerced or intimidated to do such things. It should be that it is voluntary within us and we want something to do it. All right, so this is it for tips on using the book or this book or these books of Milan. Thank you very much, Milan, for sharing your insights as to how do we able to study lessons well. And hopefully you learned something for this session, guys. Please comment or react to my video. You can suggest for more inspirational topics, perhaps, that you would like me to discuss or share. And hopefully you subscribe to my channel. You can share this to more people who will be very interested to make their lives easier in accounting field or studies. And I'll see you next time in the next video. Bye for now.